One day my love will come, and I'll be glad that you let me go. He'll see the light in me, I'll smile and he'll just
Welcome
know.
to the Page 4 Music Podcast. I'm Anthony CK, and I am here today with Kat Parsons. Kat is on tour in New York City. We're in the Diodario studio space in New York, so many thanks to Diodario and to Rico Reeds. And if you're watching this video, you are watching it on Musikin and musikin.com. It's music-kin. Musikin is a social community for music, and I encourage you to check them out, and I encourage you to check out Kat's music on Musikin and on
CatParsonsMusic.com.
Yeah, and again, thank you to the good people at Rico and Diodario for allowing us to use this space today.
Yeah, it's awesome space.
Welcome, Kat. Welcome to New York.
Thank you. I love being here.
I think the last time we sat down together, we talked a little bit about where you're from and your kind of your life and your travels, which have been many, going around playing music.
Yeah.
And now you're in New York, and we're here in person.
Yeah.
So you played a show at the Bitter End, and you did a little bit of the piano, a little bit of the guitar work. Played some new music. How has the new album been doing?
Great. It's so it's an EP, so it's which means that it's 5 songs.
It's called Talk to Me?
Talk to Me. Yeah. And I'm releasing a series of 3 this year, and it's been really fun because they're like feel like they're like little bullets. Although now that I'm saying that, I hate to use a reference to violence. So it's been fun because they all kind of have a different feel to them, and it's been really fun to release this one because it opens with such a pop anthem, and kind of goes into more of my singer-songwriter, a lot of what I do live, and talks about a lot of stuff that's really important to me and things that are really relevant to life and to kind of different struggles and places that I've heard other people in my world talk about. So it's been kind of fun to be able to have a way to express this, and then be able to express something else in a whole nother way with the other EPs and in a different vibe.
Have you started recording the other EPs? So we have some progress.
Yeah.
Is this what you're working on with the songs with your brother?
No, the songs, I've done songs with my brother kind of separately. Like we've played live, we just played live in LA a few times, and we've played music all of our lives. Both of my parents are musicians. In fact, I'm going to visit my grandparents in just a couple of days. They're musicians. So music has kind of always been a part of my family, and so John and I have played together ever since, we were growing up. In the family, we sang together and stuff like that. But with my original music, we've played together over the last several years, and our paths kind of have gone like that, and now we're both in LA together, which is really awesome. And we just recorded one of his songs that's just beautiful, and then we're doing kind of some other spare kind of pared down kind of stuff. So it's really fun to get to do that with him. And there's something I think really special about getting to share music with someone who you know so well.
Yeah.
And who knows you so well and has seen you kind of grow up.
So I've been playing with this drummer, Christian Coleman, for about, 3 years now, and that's obviously not nearly as long as you and your brother have been playing together, but you do develop some sort of an internal rapport that you know the other person and you know what they're going to do. And I think you can't really get to a place musically where you're making anything meaningful if you're not having it, like as your title is, Talk to Me. If you're not talking to one another,
right,
you're not saying. I guess the whole point of playing music is to say something and to make some larger on a most grandiose level, make some larger ethereal message for the universe with
Yeah.
it, and on a more basic level to make a conversation between two people speaking a language other than one spoken with your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, especially knowing people and knowing them musically, there's a depth of connection that can only come from music
Yeah.
and from knowing each other and seeing like where are they gonna go with this. You know, he can see where you're gonna take the saxophone solo. He can read your cues, your body cues, you know, not the actual cues that you're trying to give him, but he can just read your, you know, musical style and knows where you're gonna go. So yeah, and he'll go there with you, and I think that's really special, and we're really lucky as musicians to get to communicate that way and be with each other in that way.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to talk about is Musicin, which is, if you're watching this, it's what you're watching right now, and the thrust of Musicin is that it's a website where people can connect over music, connect musically on an emotional, visceral level, and I think that that's something that's really powerful for audiences to do, and for
Yeah, I love that.
us as performers to do too.
Yeah. And I mean, music, like, you know, like we were just talking about, music is such a universal language, and it is such a deep connection. You know, it expresses itself in ways we can't explain. It gives us an opportunity to tell our story without having to come up with the exact words. And there's so much universality in that.
Well, except that you have to come up with the exact words because you're singing and playing at the same
That's
time.
true.
So, when was the first time that you really felt like you connected musically with something that wasn't like if you grew up playing music and you grew up kind of like living in a musical lifestyle like you did, or I grew up listening to music and was really into music, but I think the first real individuation I did from my parents' music and from music that I had grown up listening to was when I heard like the Pixies play and heard
That's cool.
bands like the Dream Syndicate and the Sonic Youth, and then later, like basically everything that led into the alt-rock scene in the 90s. Like, it just blew my mind because I had heard Elvis and he blew my mind initially. Like, I just heard it on the radio independently of my parents and was totally into Elvis. Then I heard, like, you know, I got Guns N' Roses and U2, but then I heard this raw thing that was the Pixies, and I was just like, oh, I didn't know that those rules were in play. I didn't know you could do any of that, and that changed for me really the communal experience of music. What about you?
You know, I would say in my house, there was a lot of classical music. The music that I remember most was the soundtrack for West Side Story, and being delighted as a child because there's a song, Officer Krupke, and in that song they say, "Krupp you!" And we were just like, as kids, we're like, oh my gosh, you can say Krupp you and you won't get in trouble if you're singing along with the song. And so we were like, my brother and I were so excited about that song and what it allowed us to say. So I actually, West Side Story is actually one of my favorite soundtracks. There's just heart-wrenching, beautiful music in that, and I think that kind of just tugged at me, and that I don't remember, you know, a particular moment, but I just know that soundtrack really tugged at my heart, and also some arias really tugged at my heart.